Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. For y'all that don't know me, my name is Cherie. Um I was doing a video today to give you the update of what's going on. There has been a little, we're gonna say minor setback, okay? But just a minor setback. So I think the last time that I did a video was me getting ready to go back to work and everything full time. And I actually did go back to work, but I worked probably like 3 days. And my doctor took me out again. I went back and I work at a desk job, so typing and sitting down pretty much the whole day. And I went to typing, and the neuropathy, the numbness, it was just like intense. So, the numbness would come and numb my fingertips all the way up to right here to my elbow every time I would type. And then my nails would just bleed because I guess I was doing too much work with it. Because when I'm at home, when I feel like my hands are, you know, getting like too numb, I can easily stop. But when you're at work, you gotta consistently work. And so my nails was just like bleeding and the numbness. So I'm stopping like every 15, 20 minutes when it would get too intense. And I'm just like, oh my God. And then like my body would just ache, like I had arthritis or something all over my body. So I would have to stand up, stretch it out, and when I did, it would, go away. But then I sit back down because I'm in a position, my body will cramp up like severely bad. So I worked that Monday, that Tuesday, that Wednesday, and then I sent my doctor an email. I'm like, okay, because the pain came like too intense for my body. I'm just like, what is this? Because this is like new, you know. But then again, like I said, I'm sitting down in a chair when I'm at home. Either I'm in a recliner or, in my bed laying down. I did get some stiffness, but not like I was when I was sitting down in a chair in a desk. And, it was just like crazy. So I emailed her. I was like, hey, this is going on, that is going on. You know, I'm like, I'm confused because I'm thinking I'm supposed to get better. Like, what is going on? I just need to talk to you. I know my appointment is not with you until the next week, but should I be working? Like, is it, what do I need to do? Pretty much. I'm like, just tell me. And she sent me an email and was like, don't go back to work until you see me. So she was like, your appointment is next week. You stop in work, that's it. Tell your job you're not coming back until I get further notice of, what is going on, what you need to do. I just need to see you. I said, okay, fine. So, I told my job, hey, she put me out for a week until my doctor visit because of what's, going on. So I'm like, okay. So I went to her the following week, and I made it in my mind like, okay, I wrote down a list of what was going on with me. And I'm suffering memory loss, short-term memory loss, like something that I remind myself like, hey, I need to do this, and like 2 minutes, 3 minutes later, I can completely forget like what is it that, I supposed to have done. I'm like, it was just on my mind, or I meant to say something and I just forget, and then it'll probably come to me probably like hours later, maybe an hour or 2 hours later, and I'd be like, oh, that's what I'm supposed to do. So, so I went into her, with my list, and then I was just like, okay, so at the desk, typing, fingers bleeding. She looked at my hand. She was just like, I said, in the numbness, she said, okay, I'm gonna give you gabapentin, which is a nerve pill. Um, she said, okay, I'm gonna do that, and I was telling her, like, oh yeah, my bones, my body is like aching, like when I sit down. She said, oh, okay, it already started. I'm like, what you mean it already started? She was like, with the Progetta, the hormonal drugs, she said the Progetta and the Herceptin is now settling in your body like really strongly because you are getting this every 3 weeks. It's over time, it still pumps in your body, but now it's like getting in your body. Like, I mean, even though I've been getting it since December, it's I think it's like like just taking over more and more now. And she was like, yeah, that's part of it. And I was like, I thought it was just only with the Toxotear, which is a chemo drug, because I did have joint pains, but it was only like temporary. I didn't know I was supposed to have body ache pains with the hormonal drugs. And she was like, yeah, that's part of it. She said, you're really going to be stiff, and that's part of it. She said, once you stand up and stretch it out, she said, you're fine, right? I was like, yeah. She said, yeah, that's part of it. So you have to move around, you have to stretch, you have to, you can't just sit in one spot for so long. You have to move around. I said, oh God. I was like, okay. And I said, then I told her about the memory loss. She said, yeah, you'll get short-term memory loss with that as well. And I'm like, I thought that was with the Toxotear too. She said, with the Toxotear, since that's a hard chemo drug, it's more potent, meaning you get the side effects quicker. But with the Progetta and the Herceptin, it's takes over time for the side effects to kick in. She said that's why you're getting them now. And I was just like, ooh, I was like, okay, all right. So, and then she was like, is there anything else that's going on? And I was like, yeah, I noticed that, when I walk, I'm thinking I'm walking straight, but I'm walking to the left, and I'm like, why am I walking to the left? And then, like, if I'm standing up, I can lose my balance and I'll fall to the left. And I'm just like, oh, goodness. Like, but I'll be against the wall so I can catch myself, but I'm still falling to the left. And she was like, well, how long that's been going on? I was just like, probably about 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. And then I was like, but it's not frequent, but I catch myself doing it. She was like, okay, well, we're going to do a brain scan to see, make sure ain't nothing going on your brain and everything like that. And, since you're going over, and she's like, and then we're going to, do an echocardiogram so I can still measure your heart, make sure your heart and stuff. Because with the chemo drugs, it does, your heart is your strongest muscle, so you have to get an echocardiogram often, just so to make sure your heart is still, right, the right size, nothing has shrunk, because that's your muscle. That's pumped through all, of course, all throughout your body. So I'm like, okay. So then I left her office, and well, I did my treatment, my Progetta and my Herceptin. Once I talked to her or whatever, I got my treatment. Then the next day, the scheduling called and like, hey, can you come in at 8 o'clock Friday night, and do your scan? We have an opening that's assumed for an opening. I was like, yeah, I can come in. It's 8 o'clock. No traffic on the road. Sure, why not? So I went in, and they did the brain scan, the MRI, and they supposed to do it with contrast and without contrast, but they could not find a stick in my arm. Like, my veins are like super weak. So they tried 5 times to stick me, and they could not do it. So I did the brain scan, and then the next day, which is Saturday, I get a call from the radiologist, and he was like, hey, we got your thing back. You have some swelling on your brain. And I'm like, I have some swelling? I was like, okay. And then he was like, no, the cancer didn't travel to your brain. And I was like, huh? I said, well, how much is swollen? What is what? And then he was like, well, I see from just the one without the contrast, you have five, spots. He said they're less than a centimeter, but it's done travel to your brain. And I didn't cry. I'm just like, okay, like why? Like I thought, I was just like, okay, fine. And so he said, I'm gonna tell your doctor you should get a call Monday, and so I go through the weekend. I'm trying so hard not to think. Like I just been doing everything to keep busy, like rearranging my room, like cleaning up down. Like I'm just trying to do everything so I do not have to think about it, because I'm like I don't want to be back in that depressed state again. So then Monday, a radiation doctor, a radiation oncologist called me. This is not my regular oncologist, but a radiation oncologist called me. He was like, hey, we need you to, like 7:30 in the morning, like, hey, we need you to come in. Can you be in at, 12, I think it was. Yeah, 12 o'clock. Can you be in at 12? I think it was 12. I don't know, but he was like, can you be in the afternoon? I was like, yeah, I'll come. So I went in, and he was like, okay. And he was able to have the x-ray. My doctor referred him, so she told him to call me and get everything scheduled. Because I told him, anytime I told my doctor to make sure, like any doctor to call me, make sure that they say, hey, doctor, try to refer, because I just don't want to keep going to my doctor, and she's my main one. So I want all, of course, all orders to come from her. And so he was like, hey, yeah, your doctor called, and there's some, the cancer done traveled to your brain. And he showed me the x-ray. So I was able to look at the x-ray, and he was like, yeah, there's some swelling. He said, but you did do one with contrast, so I can get particular, because with the contrast, it kind of lights it up to which one or whatever. So he was like, I need you to go back in. You're going to have to do one with contrast. I was like, well, they couldn't, because they couldn't find a vein in my arm. And then he was like, okay. He called my doctor and then she told him, called the office and said, go ahead and access a port, and we'll send her to the hospital tonight to get the one with contrast. So I left from his office. Let me back up, because he gave me a lot of information. So, I was asking questions because, I'm confused. So I asked him, hey, I thought if you're doing chemo, why wouldn't that kill everything in my body? Like, how did it come to my brain? And, he explained to me chemo works pretty much from like, I would say from like nose down. Chemo does not attack the cells in your brain, or attacks the cancer cells in your brain. You would have to do that straight with radiation. Radiation is a target. So, I mean, you can still use radiation throughout your body. So, like he said, like if you was to have cancer in your toe, I can pinpoint where it's at and zap it out, He said, so it's just like a laser or a flashlight he used. He says, I shine in there and take it out. But chemo does not go to your brain for some reason. It works throughout the rest of your body, but not your brain. So that's why I was not able to kill it. And I was like, well, I did a scan. I know I did a scan before, brain scan before. Why didn't it pick up then? And he was like, this looked like it was probably there, tiny, or just starting to develop. He was like, but, it just grew over the couple of months. And, as he said, it looked like it just started in your brain. So, it wasn't nothing to catch, because it already started pretty much mutating, even though the scan could not pick it up because it was not there yet. But now the cells finally like picking it up, and you know, and I was just like, okay. And I was still like kind of confused because I'm like, chemo, kill everything. Like now, So he was like, well, we're just going to send you, get the thing with contrast. And I know exactly what's lighting up and where's everything at in your brain. So I called my mom, told my mom, of course, she's more worried now because we thought that we done beat this, that we're over this, it's like downhill, just maintenance work from now on. And so she went with me to the hospital. They did the MRI again, and then the next day, because I had to go back to him that morning. What's today? Yes, I had to go Tuesday morning, and I had to go in to get. He let me see the X-rays. He let me see the X-rays of, with the contrast and without. And with the contrast, it lit up 8 spots in my brain. And he was like, okay. He was like, well, good thing is it's not near your memory part of the brain. Meaning, if it was near the memory part of my brain, which is somewhere that I cannot pronounce of the brain, because there's different parts of your brain. He said if it was and he would have to do radiation there, I would lose my memory and I wouldn't have like my memory at all. But he said luckily it's like outside, it's not near. He found 8 like real, some was like real tiny that you just wouldn't know, like is that one, like it was really small. And then I had like some that was like, okay, you can see it, but it was still small. And I had one big one, but it was still less than an inch. But that he said, but he was like, that's there. And I was just like, okay. And so what I had to do was get they had to do a molding of my head so he can create what my head would look like and match it up with the X-ray so he'll know exactly where to start the radiation, like how to do the radiation. So I had to go like in this room and like lay back on the table, and they gave me something like a little pillow, but it's like it felt like memory foam. But of course you have to wet it and then lay my head back and adjust it so they can get the back of my head. And that would be the pillow that I would lay in, and the way that the pillow that I would lay in, so when I go in my head will go exactly in that spot. And then they had like this real, he was like, I got some plastic in the oven, and we're gonna put it on the top of your face to sculpt the top of your face or whatever. I'm like, okay. So he put it on. It was hot, but it felt like a spa treatment. You know how you get the hot towel on your face, but that's what it felt like. So it went from like my neck. I had an opening right here, and so it went across, and it like had a bunch of holes in it. Went on top of my head, so and it went on my ears. And so what it does is it has to harden. So, they fanning it to cool it off, and then they scan it. So it's getting harder and harder. And then that was it. It was like a mask of my face. I'll put a picture because I took a picture. So you will see what it looked like. But it guides him. It guides him to, you know, make sure when he go in for radiation exactly where he's targeting at so he can get the cancer cell. Yeah, so it's been a lot, but I'm trying not to think about it that much. I'm trying to keep busy, but being busy also causes worrying too, because you know your mind still goes back to it. But just because I just thought that this was like over. I mean, I knew the type of breast cancer that I had did do travel, but again, I thought chemo killed everything in your body. I didn't know that chemo does not travel to your brain just if you had something in it kill it. I didn't know you had to do radiation. So I start radiation on Monday, and I have to, since I have so many spots, I have to do 10 10 sessions. So I will have to go every day. From my understanding, I will get clear, verification on Monday, but from my understanding, it was 10 sessions, 15 minutes every day. So every day I go in there and get it done. Don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure. But I'm thinking that's what he said, like, because when I go, especially dealing with the short-term memory, I try to take in all the information I can. And my mom was not there with me to get it, because if she was there, then, I usually rely on her for the information. But, but yeah, I think it's like, yep, I know he said 15 minutes. And I know it was like every day, but I don't know if it counts for the weekend. I don't know. So I get clear understanding. The side effects with the radiation that he told me would be, again, with the short-term memory loss, which I already have. I would lose my hair again. He said his hair loss, so you see it was coming back, but it's okay. It's already gone. So if it loses again, then oh well. Loss of appetite, nausea, vomit. It's the same kind of side effects as it was with the chemo, from what he was, telling me. So I'm just like, okay, I done been through that. I know the, preparation of getting ready for, if I have to vomit and all that. I know the preparation. So, it's okay. I just have to do it over again. So, oh gosh. So this is kind of like fighting me, but it's still gonna be a good outcome, because I still caught it early. And they're not bigger than it, could have been. I could tell everybody, I, listen to my body. Like right now, if anything seems off, like I'm telling my doctor, I know I complain like to some people, like, oh, this hurt, that hurt. And I tell my mom, and I can tell her, my mom give me a look sometimes, like, but in my case, I take it very serious, so if my pinky hurting, I'm telling her, like, look, my pinky is hurting, because it all stems from something, and it needs to be, handled. And it's beating me up, but I'm fighting back. I know how to fight. That's about me. But yeah, but everything will be okay. It's just a little minor setback, and we're gonna get through this. I'm gonna get through this, and everything will be okay. Yeah. Well, all right, y'all. I was just, giving you an update of where I'm at right now. If you have any questions, of course, you can comment below, or follow me on Instagram. You can DM me a message. Some of y'all are my Facebook friend. You can message me, just anything. If you have any questions, concerns, or want to know anything, I do answer all. Okay. All right, y'all. Bye.